Well, hello everybody and welcome to tonight's very special video. This is a first for Beauty and Sound. It is an organ masterclass, and in front of me in the room here I have 5 young, talented and very eager organists who are going to play for you tonight. And over in the distance over there we have the fantastic Colin Walsh, who is making his second appearance here on Beauty and Sound, and I'm very grateful to Colin and also to you all for participating, so thank you. Tonight's event is sponsored by Organists Review, so I'm very grateful to the guys over there for sponsoring this event. If you use the code BIS 2022, you can get 10% off your first year subscription. So well worth doing, I think. It's worth pointing out just before we start that these organists, I don't think have ever met each other before. I think it's the first time they've met each other. And it's the first time Colin has met them as well. So none of these guys are Colin's students. So actually we're going in sort of cold today. So Colin has a complete blank canvas, and I'm sure he's already brimming with ideas with the Bach and the French music. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Adam up onto the organ bench. Now Adam is aged 23 and started his piano lessons at the age of 8 and became interested in learning to play the organ when he was actually aged 18. He's now playing for church services and recitals alongside completing his Master of Engineering course at the University of Sheffield. Adam has now returned to Durham, where there is a very fine organ, and continues to pursue his interests in music alongside his career in renewable energy. Very relevant in this day and age. He hopes, he says, to learn the entire works of J.S. Bach. Well, Adam, don't we all? So, can we please welcome Adam Heron, who's going to play J.S. Bach's Prelude and Fugue in B minor, BWV 544.
very much. I haven't stopped you because I don't like it. I've stopped you because I like it. That's very, very good indeed. I love this very nice steady pace. When you're making a point of cadence or something like that, you're just slightly making the point, and that's all you're doing. So the rhythm isn't interrupted at all, and that's all to the good. Just be a little bit careful in passages like this, da dee da dee, that is placed in time. It's just coming slightly early, probably because you're playing it like that and you're not necessarily listening all the time. Do you want to just play just that little area there? Absolutely fine, and I think there's somewhere else. Yeah, that part there. So just be careful about that. I think these areas where you've got the pedals and where you've got the left hand and a florid tune, treat it a little bit as if it's continuo and a solo violin. So I think that you can be a little bit freer with it, because this is high Baroque music, isn't it? And particularly the right hand, it really is very, very florid, and it's as if there's a violin that has just been given complete free range on the whole thing. So maybe if you just play from there to about here, and just think of Baroque. Baroque is inevitably mostly all about circles. Look at that, I think there's some Baroque churches around here. Circles and florid colours. Try and put this into the music. Just from there to about there. Freer, a violinist. The pedals along there. Just be quite free about it all. This here, this spooks everybody, these few bars here. However much we learn scales, remember, when we were young, we still get spooked by D major. Do you want to just go from, let's be fair, let's go from there, and when you get to this point, just try to compose yourself and a nice deep breath, and just don't think about the nose, but just breathe the music. There's nobody that doesn't get nervous at all. If you're up there with the Simon Prestons and Gillian Weirs, they all get nervous, and it's something, if we had a cure for it, doctors would be very rich indeed, I think. But just try to breathe through it. And again, think of it as a violinist. Get it away from the keyboard. And if it helps, put more priority on the left hand. So it takes your mind off what's going on there. And just think of this as sort of improvisation. Just from about there. Yeah. I liked that a lot, especially just slightly placing those top notes on the essential beats. That's very good. Do you want to carry on?
Yes.
Not had enough? Should we go, what about, we stopped around here, didn't we? What about going from about there?
Yep.
Da 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 da. And don't forget the violins in the top, cellos here and double basses. Da 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 dum. Stop you again. This was very good. Just think of this da dee da dee da dee dee da. Think of it vocally, like you know, two sopranos over the top. I think you're thinking about the cellos and the double basses. Excellent. Could take a little bit more time here. Da da dum pom pom. Be a bit rhetorical about it. It's a kind of a announcement of this, isn't it? Then I think this can be a little bit more wild. Da 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 dum. Just let it motor on a bit of tension. I loved that. That was excellent cadence there. Left hand, I think ya ba 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 bum. Just throw it away. Let the dogs out. I just felt their dogs are all in the cage. Open the cage, let them run. Here, left hand, little bit more detached, I think, like a harpsichord continuo again. Don't hurry that. Da da dum bum bum da 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 dee 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 da 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 da. And then off you go again. That was lovely there, and that was a nice cadence. Okay, shall we do a bit of the fugue?
Yes, cool.
Yeah, you're not exhausted yet? No? Okay. Okay. That's the thing is with this organ that this living room is the most reverberant living room there is in Europe. Oh, it's extraordinary. So it is quite reverberant, isn't it? And I think maybe there are too many stops on the go. Okay. It's getting a little bit muddled, whereas in a fugal exposition and all that follows, you want a little bit of clarity. But I don't think that's not your fault. It's not your. It's nothing that you're doing on the keyboard. It's just that the selection of stops is such that with what you're doing on the keyboard, it doesn't quite match. So with those stops, oh, another one in the audience. Yeah. With those stops, I'd be inclined to articulate a bit more if you're going to use those, or throw one or two mixtures in and save them up for later. In a sense, you've set out your stall a little bit too soon, haven't you? All the sweeties are all on display already. I thought the same a little bit about the Prelude, but I think the Prelude can take it a little bit more because it's more flamboyant. But I think I'd be inclined to just play it down a little bit. Why I waited until you got there was that I wanted to hear dee da dee dee dee, and of course because of this great acoustic, that just got lost, and I think that's got to be heard, isn't it? Really, yeah. It's a bit like in the Prelude where you get those episodes da da dum bum bum bum, which you're doing on another set of stops. You've just got to let the acoustic clear a tiny bit. So that will be an only small criticism of that, but it's all beautifully played. Don't to go on from there, and then we'd better hear somebody else. That was all. Where does it all start? Here. Very nice. Just be aware that while you're playing the semiquavers, that you're not playing every note. It came off a little bit as da 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 dee da dee dee rather than da 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 dee 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 dee. Try to play in 4 beats of a bar. It was just sounding, and that can easily happen with Bach. You start playing the semiquavers rather than the crotchet beats. So I'd think of that as, you know, just crotchet beats and da 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 dee 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 da 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 dee, as a violinist would. That was nice. That was nice and playful. You just changed the texture, which worked beautifully with the registration that you had. I wasn't convinced about that, because that is basically, it's all the same material, isn't it? I think if you want to change something, you can change on that D major scale. Da 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 dee 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 da 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 dee dee dee, because that comes back there. Okay, we better hasten on, and just a little bit at the end. What about which is the big moment? It's that moment there, isn't it? And there's a good moment there. How about from there? pedals around. That was excellent. I'd be inclined to get your 32-foot reed on there if you really want to have a go, because that's such a wonderful moment. And I think you could just spread that a little bit more. Use the left hand. Ya da 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 dee 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 dum pom pim. Drive it from there, and then I think from that moment, drive it via the pedals. Dee da, all these sequences coming up. Just got slightly slower there. Keep it all motoring along. You started a ritenuto around there, or I thought, is it a ritenuto or is he just getting slightly slower? I think if you're going to do that, just keep this within this acoustic. Keep it quite broad and broaden it. Pom, 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 especially there. I mean, you know, symphonically, you've got all the brass and the cellos and the double basses by then, haven't you? And then you can, I think you can draw this out quite a bit, given the stops in the acoustic that you're dealing with. If it was a drier, if it was just a 2-manual in a dry church, I'd say very different, but it's a vast 4-manual in a great basilica or something, isn't it? So just make the most of all that. Because it's a big Prelude and Fugue, isn't it? It's a statement. It's a great granite-like work. So treat it like that at the end in this acoustic. But of course, it's always the organ and the acoustic that informs a lot of what you do. So you go to another church, you play it differently. That wasn't bad, was it?
Very good.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Adam, for that. It's one of my absolute favourite Preludes and Fugues. Particularly, I think the both movements are just terrific, and just like you, I end that fugue almost on full organ. Dare I say, even with the full swell towards the end.
Yes.
Yeah, we did actually. Funnily enough, we did try the 32-foot reed earlier on in the page, and it was so bombastic that we thought actually it was like Armageddon had arrived. You know, it was massive, so we had saved it to the end. So up next is Alex Hardy, who is a second-year BIMA's is studying for his vocal studies at Trinity Laban in London. Has been playing the organ for 4 years. He is currently a choral scholar at the Royal Naval Chapel in London, the famous chapel in London where he plays regular voluntaries in the chapel. Alex hopes that after university he will end up doing something with his keyboard or vocal skills. So, can we please welcome Alex Hardy to the organ bench, who is going to play for us the beautiful and ethereal Berceuse by Louis Vierne.
Okay. We just, before I forget things, I think first of all it's got to be really legato, that tune. Imagine it's a solo violin on the top. So these sections, da da dee 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 da dee, really cantabile. Have you opted out of the pedals at the moment?
I tried it, but it didn't work very well.
Because technically, yeah, he does want the pedals going all the way until there. Now, what does GR mean?
It's great. Oh, I would assume it's great. I'm probably wrong because it's French.
It's great, and it's
probably Grand Récit.
It's Grand Orgue and Récit.
Oh, okay.
So your enhanced celestes with the tremulant, which I didn't think would work, but actually they do. You should have the swell to great, really.
Okay.
So you've got the swell coming through. Can I pull that one out?
Yeah,
sure. And open the box so you can hear hear those strings. They're not quite the sort of Saint-Ouen sound that you would get. Here, I think Grand Orgue again. But what he would want really is just to throw that in.
Okay.
I'd be inclined to just stick to flutes and strings.
Okay.
Are these really organ pieces, these 24 pieces?
They can be, but I'm probably more on harmonium.
Yeah, so I think you've got to treat them a little bit differently, as if they were written for the organ originally. So I'd be inclined to just use a nice flute 8-foot, which you've got there, and then just stick with it there. Same there. And then Grand Orgue and Récit, the swell, pull that up. Forte, it sounds obvious. What does forte mean?
Confident and loud.
Right. You threw me on the first one.
Means loud, it means
it's sort of loud, but it needn't necessarily be. On a French organ, it's actually the direction of the swell box. So what he is saying is you play it on the Grand Orgue,
the swell box open,
and the Récit open, but it's still not going to be loud. Do you want to just do? What about some of this? Just this section from there to the bottom. So you've got the swell there. Yeah, and really legato. Imagine solo violin. That's very nice. There are various theories about these phrase marks. Have you heard one or two?
No, but if it's for harmonium, I suppose it's for how much air you supply yourself.
The theory is it's because Vierne couldn't see very well. He used these huge, a whole piece of paper just to write 2 or 3 bars. And of course the phrase mark went over there, and it was meant to be going into the next page. and the publisher misinterpreted that, yeah, and thought it was just that. The same with the metronome marks as well. One theory is that it was gauged by Vierne's watch, or that he read the metronome mark the wrong way up. So take the metronome marks with a little bit of a pinch of salt, and the phrasing. Just think what you would do if you're conducting an orchestra, and then I think you'll probably get the phrasing right. And always look at andantino. So if it's andantino, I think a little bit faster. Just to push those phrases through.
Yeah.
Good. Shall we go, just cut a little bit. What about to here? Pianissimo, and just a little bit faster. Watch the phrases. They're nice and soft at the end. Don't slow there, because he's written in a ritenuto, hasn't he?
Yes.
You just got a little bit too fast there, but at least it was moving. Yeah, just keep that movement all the time, and mind that legato there. I think it's a fingering thing, isn't it? Dee da dee 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 da dee. And by all means, spend a tiny bit of time on the top note. Dee 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 da. Oh, make it sort of ping like a good choir, you know.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well done, Alex. Thank you very much for playing one of my, above all of these Vierne symphonies, I think that's one of my favourite pieces by Vierne. It's just perfectly performed, isn't it? So next up we have Sam Sleath. Now, Sam has been playing the organ for about 3 years. Initially self-taught, but is now having lessons. Sam is currently studying music and music tech as part of his A-levels, and in the future hopes to study music further at university. He's the organ scholar at Bromley Parish Church in London, where he is also a member of the choir. Now, some of you may have seen Sam's name in, certainly on BIS, but in and around the Hauptwerk scene, as he is already becoming a well-established organ sampler, having sampled a number of organs, and indeed my own chamber organ uses Sam's own sample, and it's very fine indeed. So will we all please welcome Sam Sleath to the organ bench as he plays the Toccata in D minor by Bélier.
That's very nice. And playing in this big acoustic, you're listening to the acoustic, aren't you? Which is good, and you are, in a sense, changing the music in places.
Play it like that.
To incorporate the acoustic, because if the notes can't be heard in the acoustic or within the organ, why are you bothering to play them? So I liked a lot of those. I would say maybe you could be a little bit more clear about when you want it to be staccato and when you want it to be legato. For example, here, da 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 dum bum 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 ba da da dum bum 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 bum, because the legato will just the same work very well in a big acoustic. Here in the left hand, just make it clear, staccato, legato. I was just intrigued while you're playing those with the pedal. Here in the the bottom notes, aren't you?
I might be.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, rather than just with the left hand.
Okay.
Yeah, I think probably just left hand.
Yeah.
Then when the pedals come in there,
And then it's,
tum. Yeah. Not too staccato here.
Yeah.
As staccato as these are. Do you want to just go from, what about from here, and just think of the difference between staccato and legato? Don't have a sort of halfway house. It's either staccato or legato. Or wherever's. Yeah. Yeah, much better. Okay, go on and just look at these legato marks. Yeah. Good. I think here, these left hand, this keeps on coming back, doesn't it? Dum, dum. Just hold them a little bit longer.
Okay.
They're just tending to be a little bit short with them, and they're not quite sounding with this within the acoustic, because that's actually more important than the right hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was much better. I heard the staccato and I could hear the legato. And here, especially when we get a sort of relay, it's, you know, right hand and the same thing sort of repeated in the left hand. Just draw the audience's attention to that. Because after all, as musicians, what are we doing? We're sort of presenting the music, aren't we? Like a picture. And so, I want you to hear that. I want you to listen to that. I like this bit. And you have to be persuasive about them. And the best musicians are the ones that can play a piece of music to you and you will say, wow, I want to go away and learn that. One, because the music itself is fantastic, but because the presentation has been wonderful. That's very good. And when I heard you were playing this, I went straight to YouTube. And Bélier Toccata. What is this? I've never heard of this before. So you have introduced me, the audience, to a fine French toccata. The first thing I thought, this is like Dubois.
Yeah.
With the phrasing. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Sam, for coming over to BIS and for playing that wonderful toccata. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that at home. So on to our penultimate organist tonight. Alexander Wilton has been playing the organ since 2014. He's 19, by the way, playing since 2014 and subsequently played at various churches and festivals up in the north west of England. In September 2019, Alex began his sixth form studies at Chetham's School of Music in Manchester, where he studied the organ with Chris Stokes at the cathedral. After leaving Chetham's in 2021, he became the organ scholar at Manchester Cathedral. Alexander will commence his studies at the RCM in London from September. He's a man after my own heart because he says to me that he's passionate about inspiring the next generation of organists and loves being asked to introduce the instrument to those thinking about having lessons. Perhaps, Alexander, you should start a YouTube channel. So will we all please welcome at home and here in the room Alexander Wilton, who will play the fantastic and beautiful, very lyrical Prelude, Fugue and Variation by César Franck.
That's very nice, and I love the trompette harmonique
Yeah.
that you've got there, which is very much Saint Clotilde. Do you know when this piece was written?
Probably around late 19th century, around sort of 1870-ish, 1880-ish.
Yeah,
around
a
that time.
little
It's
bit
later.
earlier. It's
Yeah.
what was the make of the organ that César Franck had?
Cavaillon.
Cavaillon.
Yeah.
And I think if I'm right, it was installed in Saint Clotilde, his church, in 1858, 1859.
Yeah.
I might be slightly wrong.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And these were written at around the same time because he suddenly realised I have my symphonic instrument here. And what are the other pieces that are included in this? It's a collection of 6, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what the others are?
Isn't it? Well, I think this is the whole collection, isn't it? So there's like the finale.
Finale, yeah.
There's the Grand Piece Symphonique.
Yeah,
And then there's a few others.
and they were designed to show off his wonderful instrument,
how much
his
it was
wonderful
to get
new
to it.
instrument. I think when you play Franck, he was pretty free with the swell box.
Sure, yeah.
And when he opened it all the way. There was no sort of halfway.
Yeah.
Yes, none of the sort of as if you're playing a piece of Howells or anything. And there was quite a lot of rubato in his playing, which of course his successor, Tournemire, certainly had, and very, very legato. So I think you can put a little bit more rubato into the top line and take it away from the organ. Imagine you're a violinist, and here you've got maybe a second violin, and there you've got cello, maybe a double bass.
Like a little trio to it.
Yeah. But connect the pedals with the left hand. Ba-da, ba. So don't let these hang on. And imagine sometimes they're pizzicato. Ba-da, ba-dee,
Yes.
And make that the sort of almost like a continuo underneath it. And then you have quite a free right hand. This one here is always difficult, this bar. Ya da 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 dee 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 da 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 dee 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 da. It's very easy to make the last note long.
Yeah.
And then you put the accent on the last note of the bar, whereas
Just
actually
wants it to flow in.
you want the accent on the strong beat. So I think ya da 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 dee da dee dee. So I think emphasize that every time. And again, when you get a top note, like the Berceuse, just hold it for a little bit. And if you've got a sequence, dee da da dee da dee da da dee da, expressive, always cross out the poco row and put a row.
Yes.
Do you want to just do the first page?
I'll try the first page again,
Again, and just free up the right hand. Imagine you're a violin soloist and your colleagues in this chamber music are just going to follow whatever you're doing. Just be careful, plenty of rubato, but don't make people feel seasick.
Yes. Either way,
Yeah. Move to the top. Yes. Yeah. Lots. Up. Yeah. And expressive. Big growl, yes. Now now move on a little bit. That's the note you're going to be. Good, yeah. F sharp. Now an echo, slightly slower. Then our tempo, the G. Now the same. Yeah, warm it up, yes. The same but more. Good, yeah. Very legato bass. Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
It's much better. I feel you're kind of getting away from the organ.
And also less in time as well. More
Yeah.
freer
Don't
as
never
well.
think you're playing the organ. Always think you're conducting an
Sure, yeah.
orchestra or something.
With all the freedom that you.
Yeah, freedom. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah. So that you're playing in circles, never
Sure,
in
yeah.
straight lines or anything. Okay, then we've got this strange little section. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, you surprised me at the end.
Yes.
So, why did you get rid of some stops?
Well, obviously it says to diminish it down to pianissimo at the end, so I was thinking just to sort of take it away
Right.
at the end.
Because I think in Franck these are actually just markings to do with the
Just felt
box.
like you still want to keep the arch. And
Yeah. So you've still got the arch.
Sure,
You've still got this boiling away in the
yeah.
background.
Yeah.
It's sort of simmering there. I'd be inclined to add more box.
Okay,
Big one there. Dum dum ti. Here I was. You know all about note commune.
Not so.
Right.
sure about that,
If there's a note in one part.
Oh yeah. So you.
Yeah. No, tie it.
Yeah.
Dee-dee. So you get that real legato. There I don't
It's in a
think.
separate voice. Yeah.
Yeah. So keep it legato.
Hold it. Yeah.
I couldn't see what was going on there, but I
Yeah.
think the A to the A. There's one here,
Should
isn't
be legato
there?
as well.
Yeah. There's one B to B.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just keep the same stops there.
Yeah.
Do you want to do again?
Yeah, sure.
Again,
So
when you open the
start
box,
section,
really open it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so you've got
it's better. It's
this
still got that power
richness.
to it still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because on the sort of cavaille that Franck had, it would be quite difficult to do that.
Yes.
Because there's none of this, of course.
Yeah, of course, it's all just manually sort of because it's combination.
Well, at the side.
So it's a stencil piece anyway.
Yeah. And you've got just some.
Yeah, just a few levers to push.
Quite by modern day standards,
Yeah.
quite cumbersome
Yes.
to get hold of them.
Yeah.
So you didn't want to be changing too many
No,
stops,
okay, yeah.
because it wasn't always easy. Okay.
Okay.
I've never seen some of these before, the dolces and things.
Right. So
Right.
that'll be on. I think.
Have you heard this subject here? Where's he got some of the notes from?
It's not from earlier in.
Yeah, it's all related to
Yeah. That's where you get sort of.
Yeah, he's just altered some
yeah.
of the time values. Okay.
Okay.
Really legato.
Sure, yeah.
Not French legato, but Franck
Yes.
legato. Blame the page turner.
Yeah.
What's he got? Yes, you're quite right. Positive only, and there I was saying open the box, because on some of these instruments you couldn't couple the récit to the positive, which would explain that. I think da da dee da da dee da dee dee.
Yeah, so not as much there, but mainly.
Yeah, make a little bit more of it.
Yeah.
But that's all nice,
Sure,
nice and legato. We've got just better jump a little bit. What about from there?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so if we, yeah, it's like.
Done. Careful about that. You actually hear da da dee. I think you were quite anxious about getting that
noted.
T there.
Yes.
Dee ta ti ta dee ta.
Yeah.
Make sure the dot is placed all the way there. Nice crescendo. Now here, I'm just being a little bit pedantic because I saw 16-foot reed come on there.
Yeah.
Have you seen the specification of Saint Clotilde?
I haven't seen the stops, no.
Right. In those days,
Yeah.
there was no 16-foot reed
Okay.
on the swell.
Yeah.
That's not to say that this piece wouldn't have been played at
Sure, yeah.
Saint-Sulpice,
Yeah,
for
yes.
example. But I think if you're going to be strictly adherent to
What he would have had. Yeah.
Yeah. The foundations at 16, the anche, the reeds of the récit, 8 and 4, but without the 16.
Yeah.
Because he's giving you the 16 from the sort of the grand orgue.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you've still got those very, very bright at Saint Clotilde, 8 and 4 foot reeds.
Yeah.
And
So you would want to have those on, yeah.
have the 4 foot reed.
Yeah, have the 4
Yeah,
foot,
that's all
yeah,
right.
yeah. Oh, well, obviously that's not on there, but yeah.
But I think one of the reasons why there's no mixture as well at Saint Clotilde, because the 4 foot reed is so very bright.
You don't really need
you
it.
You don't need it at all.
Yeah.
Just be careful there that you actually hear the repeated note. Tam ta da ti, just a separate bow for that one. Okay, and let's do a little bit of this.
Variation.
Andantino. And so on.
Yeah.
And let the left hand, which is quite difficult, isn't it? Just let that follow what's going on.
Yeah.
So, yes, you've got two instrumentalists really listening hard to one another, because this is difficult to coordinate with that. So it's just plenty of listening.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Just be aware again, you know, the da 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 dee dum.
Same thing, you don't want the accent on that,
It's quite, that's quite hard, that.
Yeah.
And here, just follow dim tum tum ti tum.
A little bit of a tenuto on.
Yeah, just
notes,
just slightly place those important notes.
Yeah, don't fly with it. Yeah.
It's a hard piece, this. It's like all says a Franck.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Sorry
Colin.
we can't listen to all of it.
It's no problem. Thank you.
Really terrific stuff, Alex. Thank you very much for that. Which brings us on to our final organist this evening, and absolutely by no means least in any shape or form, Luke. Mitchell is 20. He's currently a first-year student at the Queen's College Chapel in Oxford. He is already an established continuo player and has played with groups such as the Academy of Ancient Music, Instruments of Time and Truth, and the Oxford Philharmonic. Before Oxford, Luke spent a year as organ scholar at Worcester Cathedral, becoming a prize-winning ARCO. And before that, he was at Winchester, so he's got good pedigree. In September, he takes up the conducting scholarship with the University Schola Cantorum, as well as being the organist at St Michael's Northgate. So, let's all welcome Luke Mitchell to the organ bench to play the monumental Prelude and Fugue in E minor, known as the Wedge, by J.S. Bach.
Fine. I wish we could listen to all of it. That's very nice. Beautifully, there's lots of direction, there's lots of fire, there's lots of phrasing. It's all there. Just be a little bit careful about, technically, about your pedalling. That I feel there's quite a lot of motion going on. Just be a little bit more economy of what you're doing down there. That's marvellous. Can we just jump to, what about having one of these episodes? What about from there? That's excellent. I love what you do. Where was it? Here. You just stretch that beautifully to coincide with that pedal there. Now, if you're going to do that there, this is an even better bar, isn't it? Ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum, ba-da. There's more going on there. So I'd be inclined in that second beat to just stretch it a bit more. Do you want to just play from there? Just the 3 bars there. A peal of bells, isn't it? Love to spend more time, but the fugue, when I went for an audition in my gap year to Windsor Castle, the then organist was Sidney Campbell, who was quite a character. And one of the candidates, we were running short of time, and one of the candidates was going to play the wedge fugue. So he was sitting in the nave. There was a voice from downstairs which said, "We'll just have the thin end." Well, we'll listen to whatever we can of it. That's very good. Just make sure that when you've got consecutive quavers, that they don't become notes in there. That quavers are normally going somewhere, aren't they? They're like semiquavers. So join them up a little bit more. That da 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 dee 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 ba da da dee 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 dee. I think you're being deliberately kind of changing the trill at the end of the subject, aren't you? Yeah, that's all right. That's Baroque. You're allowed to do that. I think that chord. Just play that chord on this organ. Now, on a Baroque organ, that because of the tuning, that would have sounded pretty horrendous, wouldn't it? Very out of tune. So how do you think we could recreate that on one of today's instruments?
In terms of tuning or the effect?
The effect.
Well, one could try and point it out slightly more, which could either be in the form of taking more time, putting more weight, or giving articulation for the pedal note.
Yeah, I think just take more time. Dum, bum, pum. Make it. It would have sounded quite grotesque, and the same as it happens again in the final cadence, doesn't it? These, I think, just for clarity, it just sounds as if you've got too many stops on. Yeah, there's something going on. Is this a sort of mixture which has got a unicer? Yeah. Yeah, that do.
There was also a constraint around before, which could have been it.
Ah, that would be doing. Yeah, because I think. What would you say he's trying to imitate here as a musical instrument?
Harpsichords.
Yeah, yeah. So you want something actually quite delicate and almost sort of celestial. So when you come in again on this almost demonic da da dee dum dum, this grotesque subject, isn't it? Really.
It's really contrasting.
Yeah. I'm never quite sure here whether going back to the Hauptwerk, whether to do it on that A as you do, or at the start of the scale.
Oh.
Da 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 dum. Yeah, starting at the start of the scale seems to me to make more sense. And
Some crescendo.
yeah, and it happens there again.
So
Yeah. And these two, dum, make quite a thing of that because it's a kind of announcement. You're back onto the Plano. Make all these as clear as you can, no faster than clear.
Yeah. Especially in
Yeah. Wasn't quite sure about what you were doing in the right hand there. I think just play it da dee 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 dee, and then you can hear more, or rather the attention can be more on the left hand.
Okay.
It's almost like sort of Rachmaninoff, that, isn't it?
Right. Before I was trying to almost create a melody out of the crotchets and then have it repeated
Yeah.
the gesture, but you think have a
I
repeated thing
think
and
the
gesture in its own
ostinato. Yeah, that's where the energy's coming.
right.
Yeah.
So you don't try mine or something.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. Sorry it's the thin end. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, guys, down here for all of your playing tonight. Really, it's been, I think we've all learned something tonight, and certainly being sat over here watching you all play has been really enjoyable and educational for me, actually, because I play all of these pieces, apart from the Bélier, which I need to go and learn now. So taking some of Colin's expert advice away, I think you and I will both agree that it's been extremely insightful and very useful. So Colin, thank you very much for tonight. It's been a real joy having you in here again, and maybe you'll return for a third time to BIS. I think we should also thank Colin, don't you? So thank you. Now, if you have enjoyed tonight's Organ Masterclass, if you've taken something away from it educationally or just from enjoyment, please do consider supporting Beauty and Sound. We can only do these things with your help. I should also like to say at this point a huge thank you to Organists Review, to Francis O'Gorman for sponsoring this event. If you want to become a subscriber to Organists Review, you can use the code BIS 2022, and I saw someone in the chat earlier just saying there was a slight niggle with that, but it does work if we get it right. You get a 10% off your first year of subscription with those guys. So tomorrow night is the joint junior organ recital in which all 5 organists here are performing, and we'll also have an additional 6th organist as well. So you'll be able to hear the music played tonight, like the wedge and the B minor, not the B minor, no, something else, Franck, the Bélier, and the Berceuse and the Franck bridge, yes, in their entireties tomorrow night, without someone very rudely interrupting them, saying, stop, that will do. So that's to 8 o'clock tomorrow night, live here on Beauty and Sound. So with that, I will say a good night, a cheerio. Should we all say, shout a really cheesy cheerio? Cheerio, everyone. Cheerio. That was so cheesy, I'm so sorry. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, and goodbye.